to welcome our viewers to a special podcast. We're going to have across the Canadian border now. We're not talking just U.S. We're now talking Canadian. And so we have a guest who's got a number of skill set, but one I think our Overture residents will really be attracted to, and I'm going to let her explain it, but I'll just introduce you. So we've known each other for, I don't know, a little bit of time, but she just wrote an article in the magazine up in Ontario, and is called The Marginalization of Seniors. Now, that's really sensitive to our subjects here at Overture because we're 55 and older, and obviously we're in the senior category. We're a little bit north of 55, to be honest with you. So, Shaelene, why don't you introduce yourself and let them know who you are and who you serve in your business, and then we'll start talking about the article.
So, Shaelene McInnis. I actually own an accounting company. It's called Books in Line Professional Services. I have a number of employees. We have thousands of clients. We do taxes, bookkeeping. We deal with the Canada Revenue Agency, which in the States is the IRS. So we deal with them on behalf of our clients. And so as we got into COVID, of course, everything shut down, not for us. We were going crazy. And then as we started coming out of COVID, which seems like such a horrible, long length of time, I started to notice things getting, I started thinking, you know what, we all need some healing. Everyone needs some healing. We need some wellness. So that's when working with Jeff, I started doing with Jeff and with Pete, I started creating the Ontario Wellness Network. It's a digital magazine. You can also order physically. And then what I'm doing is I just cover all different aspects of wellness: spiritual wellness, mental health, physical wellness, financial. Obviously, since I do taxes, I do a lot of the financial. And then I decided that I was going to start doing, I'm going to do a series in this magazine, and the Ontario Wellness Magazine, specifically for seniors, because I'm very frustrated about how I see seniors being treated. I'm Generation X, right? And we Gen X, we know, for example, like in Canada, we know how to measure imperial and standard. We know Fahrenheit and Celsius. We're at that in-between stage. We know life before computers and cell phones, and we know life as it is now, which is a completely different world than we were kids. But I find that seniors, especially, or anyone not computer savvy, is being not just left behind, but like shoved into the corner. And I'm so frustrated by what I see with that. It's just time and time and time again. And so I've started this series, and you saw the first one where I'm talking about we need to treat senior citizens specifically so much better than we're doing it right now. It's very, very frustrating. I can't even believe how frustrated seniors must be. I get frustrated. So that's going to be way worse. So that's what I do now.
Well, I know when I read the article, it hit home because down here is the same as what you're saying is the paperless push. And they're always pushing paperless and penalizing the ones that don't want to go to paperless. So would you explain your story that you had in the magazine for our viewers?
Absolutely. Paperless is one of the things where people are not even being given a choice to go paperless. They're just simply not being sent their bills. My beloved in-laws, who I love very much, they're 83 and 85. And they said to me, Shaelene, they don't even send me my Visa bill. How can I check to make sure the charges are correct if I don't get the bill? And then they're not sending me my bank statements. We went to the bank, and I was shocked. It's this huge building. There was not one employee. Everything was making people go through just the machines. There was no employees actually working in there. And so there was no one for you to actually speak with and say, you got to stop doing this. So I called the bank, and I also called the credit card company. And I'm like, you need to send them their statements. You didn't ask their permission to do this. You didn't give them the option of opting in to paperless. You're just stopping it and saying, if you want to, then you have to take the next step to opt out of this. And that, I think, is absolutely wrong. It's not, they don't have an email address. All they know is they no longer see their bank statements or credit card statements. So when I called through, I was told, well, for them to receive their statements again, it's $3 per statement. And I said, hang on a minute, let me make sure that I understand this. Are you telling me that all of these people, mostly seniors who don't have an email address, who are not necessarily tech savvy and shouldn't be forced to be, by the way, you're going to charge them now? You're charging them a fee to send them their statements. And of course, they then immediately backed off, because I'm like, are you doing this across Canada? That's what I want to know is, are you actually doing this to all Canadian seniors? Because this is going to be a problem. So they immediately changed their tune, because now they know I'm going to start talking about it. And they said, okay, well, we'll just put them in. They don't have to pay anything for their bank statements and credit card statements. So that's one example. And it's just, I'm so frustrated about it, because between that and up here, we have Shoppers Drug Mart. It's a drugstore kind of place where you go and you get your vitamins and everything. I don't know if you have that in the US. I was in there 2 weeks ago, bought a few things, some vitamins, some different things, went to the front to pay, not a single cashier, no one, all checkout. There was no one stand behind where the cashier would normally be. So I went back to the pharmacy and I put down all my stuff and I said, I'm going to pay here. I'm not interested in checking myself out. You're not paying me to check myself out. You're not giving me a discount for checking myself out. And the lady was very nice. So she did everything for me at the pharmacy. And then she told me, and I was just shocked. She said, actually, she says, I'm so sorry, but it's a brand new store here. She says, they insist that 70% of all of our sales be checkout by the customer, that the customer checks themselves out 70% of all sales in a day. And to me, I'm thinking, there's so much wrong with that. First of all, I wouldn't want my 85-year-old and 83-year-old in-laws trying to figure out how to check themselves out. And also, so these companies are saving billions of dollars because they're not paying employees, which means they're not paying those wages. They're also not paying here into Canada Pension, the Canada Pension Plan. I think for you guys, I think it's called, is it a 404? I'm not sure what it's called down there.
401k or
401k, right. So they're not paying CPP to the government. They're not paying unemployment insurance. They're not paying WSIB, that's workers' compensation. Mm-hmm. And they're not doing that because they have and they're saving themselves. No, they're making billions by trying to push everyone to do this. And these are the things, that's another thing that frustrates me. It just seems like at every corner, large companies and corporations are trying to take advantage of people. And again, mostly seniors. And I'm done with it. I've seen time after time after time after time of these big corporations doing this and getting away with it. And that's what I'm frustrated about is in Canada, nothing and no one in government is sticking up for these people, these hundreds of thousands, millions of people. And no one is saying anything or doing anything. I don't even think I've read an article on. I mean, I'm sure there's more out there than just the one that I started. But that's why this is going to become a series where I'm saying, yes, the world is changing. Yes, it's going digital. One day, yes, probably everything will be paper free or paperless. But in the meantime, give people the option to opt in if they want to. Don't force it on everybody, right? Because of course they're making money by doing it this way. So I'm just pretty frustrated.
I know what you're saying, because when I moved into this facility, I opted for AT&T to be paperless and put it on auto pay. That was fine. But Georgia Power, I did not. And I've been late 4 times. I got postcards because they want you to not only get an email, I have to all of a sudden put the account number in, all these kind of stuff. I got to jump through all these hoops. And of course, I'm late. And it's not like it pays at the beginning of the month. It's somewhere in the middle. And I like auto pay. I just don't want to mess with it. But this one, I haven't been able to figure it out. And 4 times I've gotten postcards. We're going to shut your power off such and such date. And that's their system forcing me to play their game. And you shut off the power. It's not the kindest thing that you want to have happen, especially if it's in the hot of summer or heat of summer, and you don't have air conditioning and stuff like that.
Exactly. What about the people who don't even have an email address? I'm like my mother and father-in-law. Suddenly, their power gets turned off, and they're like, "But we didn't even get a bill." Like, it's just, I'm just like, this is not right. Why is nobody doing something about this and saying, "Stop, do this"? I went to switch one of my phone companies. One of my, I have a mobile hub. So if I'm traveling, I always have internet. So I went to switch it from one company, which was way overcharging, to another. So I'm halfway through on the phone doing this with the other company. And I said, okay, well, here's, my billing address, blah, blah, blah. And she says, oh no, we don't send out paper bills. And I'm like, excuse me, not even. And she goes, no, we don't do that. I said, you're telling me that, and I like to have paper. I own an accounting company. I like to have my backup and write-offs and stuff like this in most cases. And in other ways, sure, I'll go paper free. But I said, you're telling me that you will not send me bills. She said, yeah. I said, well, okay, I'm canceling. Cancel the whole thing. I'm not working with your company, because I'm not going to be told by this company and I haven't even signed up with them yet. I'm like, oh, you just lost a client. Make sure that they know that you did a fine job and thank you. But no, that's no good. And if I can keep going on about one more thing, because I get very passionate on this subject, phoning for customer service. Like, what is that? Every time you have to call in and say, I need help with this, or, this phone isn't working, or I want to change this number, or whatever it is, you call anyone for customer service. You're always getting the message, we're busier than expected. Go to our website, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who's doing the scheduling? Because you're always busier than expected. That person needs to be fired. That's the first thing. And then the push, go to our website. For your convenience, go to our website. And I'm like, for my convenience, yeah, it'd be convenient if someone picked up the phone. Okay? Like, not that I'm sitting there having to push buttons and go different places and try to find an answer. Everything is being put on the consumer to do most of the work themselves. And this is frustrating to me. Again, convenient, have someone pick up the phone. That's convenient. Like, jumping through hoops, my in-laws wouldn't be able to do this. They wouldn't. And there's no way they could do that. Right? Especially anyone who's immigrants to the country, all of this. So no, that's another pet peeve.
Well, Shaelene, recently, probably in the last 4 months, 3.5, I think, a friend of mine came down to visit, and we were talking about doctor care. And he's told me about concierge doctors for about 15 years. Yes. But I had a doctor, and it had to do with a procedure. Every single time they leave me a message, I'd call them back, and I'm in the phone tree. And they're saying, push 4 for Dr. such and such. I didn't know what doctor I had. I mean, it was one of these colonoscopy things. So they don't really, you have a team of them. So I finally called the girl. I said, you cancel that service. Well, we're going to have to charge you for it. I said, I wish you would, because you'll see so much grief from that. I said, I'm out of here. And so I called my friend. I was telling him, so I ended up signing up for, it's called Partner MD. And they're at Richmond, Virginia, which is where I'm from. So all of a sudden, I go to them. For the first time, he's calling me back, giving me my markers and all this. I about floored that a doctor was talking to you directly instead of a nurse for the doctor. And he covered holistic. He had integrated. They call it integrated down here. I don't know if they do.
I like that. Yeah.
But integrated is the is the wellness holistic side. And then he has the medical too. So he has both degrees. Yeah. And then I go to an exercise and a nutritionist too. So he basically quarterbacks everything from his perspective. Yeah. And he's talking to me personally. That's and I was going like, this is weird. I've never seen it, never had it. And he was actually on my podcast last week. So it was nice to talk to a doctor that really, you don't have to go through the nurse's aid and push buttons and all that.
That's a call. I'll call my own doctor's office, Pete, And
Yeah.
the message says, please do not leave a message. We do not monitor this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the message you're leaving on the phone? And you can't,
Yeah.
nobody ever picks up, but you also aren't allowed to leave a message. The last time I went to a doctor's appointment, I don't know, I was under the weather. It was like a year ago. I don't know about there, but here with COVID, we have a lot of walk-in clinics. They all shut down, right?
Wow.
Well, they're not reopening them. That's the other thing. Barely any of them are reopening, because now I went to a grocery store here, which has in the drugstore part of the grocery, you can go in and you can see, it's kind of a nurse practitioner who takes all the notes and everything, takes pictures or whatever, then turns on the TV screen, and then you speak to whichever doctor happens to be on that day or whatever. And the nurse practitioner told me that the average now time using this TV thing is 3 minutes. So doctors can see so many more clients, and they're making a fortune without the overhead costs of a clinic. But again, I have to go to the drugstore, fill in all my stuff on a computer, wait till someone can see me, tell the gentleman everything. It was a gentleman who's the nurse practitioner. And then everything is done in about, like, honestly, it probably took 2 minutes with the who comes on the TV. It's just shocking, like how it's changed so quickly.
It really did. And a friend of mine's a golfer, and he was in the construction business. He was telling me a couple months ago that they canceled the expansion. We have CBS down there. I don't know if you have it.
Yes. I heard
you did?
Yeah.
Okay, so they were putting just what you said, video clinics in each one. Well, they scrapped that because it wasn't going over well.
Oh.
That whole thing about the video, I mean, there's a need for different things, but not totally going to something that we're not familiar with.
Yes.
It is not keeping our best interest in mind, because it's still a people business, no matter what.
That's exactly
Use technology to help the people, but don't throw everything down our throat and say, now we're going to use technology and you don't have a choice whether you see anything or not.
Now that's it with doctors, with grocery stores, with trying to get your phone bills. Everything is being pushed down our throats. That's right. And a lot of people who are not tech savvy, who do not have email, who have no interest in learning that kind of thing at this point in their life for whatever reason. And that's why I say they're being marginalized. I'm like, I think they're being, what I would use is discriminated against. I think senior citizens are being discriminated against, and it's being allowed. And for me, the government or someone, consumer advocate, should be stepping in and saying, we have to stop this. We can't keep treating people this way. And so that's
totally agree. And I tell you, I think we could make a whole show, like a whole day. But here, I'm going to shift gears to a fun topic.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know from, getting to know you over, I don't know, 6 months, 9 months, 8, 12 months, I don't know how long it's been, that you like to play poker.
Yes, I do.
Could you share with our viewers a little bit about your background, as far as like mine's golf, and I have to say maybe yours is pretty close to a expertise in poker. So share with our viewers that.
Sure. It's a good story. When we were kids, my mom, 4 girls, we weren't allowed to watch TV. There was no TV allowed. On Sundays, we watched Disney from 6 to 7 p.m. That was the big thing of the week. We were on the farm. We had horses and stuff. So what would we do? We would be playing games constantly. Card games, 9-5-2, canasta. I was playing canasta when I was 8. Euchre. I don't know. I know there's some people in the eastern part of the U.S. Euchre. I was playing euchre for money on the bus when I was 10, because it was a 45-minute bus ride. So we were playing for quarters. Quarter for a game, quarter for a euchre, and quarter for a lone hand. So every card game you can think of, I probably played, because that's just what we did. Play games all the time. So then when I went off I started playing poker, maybe I was 15, 16, just, with friends, no big deal. Everyone throws in, whatever it was, $5 and you play. And then by the time I went to university, now I'm trying to make my way through university. So now I'm playing poker. and I'm going to school and I'm waitressing too at the same time because I want to get out of school and I don't want to owe a fortune. So I got out of school after 4 years and owed absolutely nothing. I remember trying to get home from school to go to work, and it was about an hour drive, and I didn't have gas money. So I'd go and I'd play poker just enough to win the gas money to get myself home. So then I went to Vegas. I went to Vegas and I just played a few table games of stuff. And like my first day, I went like $1,200. And I'm like, okay, that's fine because I've been doing it for so long. And the mathematical side of it, I love. Like for poker, I think it's the same thing as you and golf and my husband and fishing. When I play poker, it's the only thing I'm thinking about. Everything else goes away. I'm just like, okay, there's a 1 in 4 odds of this. Okay, there. He's got 2 hearts probably. Okay, I'm putting him on jacks, but I got jacks are better. And it's just this, that's all it is poker. There's no room for anything else. No worrying about work or business or the kids or the family. Everything becomes focused about poker. And my husband said that's how it's for him. When he's fishing, it's just the one thing. The only time my brain kind of shuts down everything else but numbers, which is great because I love using my left side of the brain to calculate and think of odds and all that, which is great because, I do taxes. I'm kind of good with numbers. But then using the other side of the brain because you have to be able to read the people. When you're playing poker like Texas Hold'em, you're not playing the cards, you're playing the person. People don't realize that you're not playing your 2 cards. That's almost irrelevant. What you're doing is you're playing the other person. So you get a read on that person. How tight do they hold their chips? Do they hold them close to them? Are their chips stacked super neatly or are they kind of messy? Because it gives you a read on what kind of a player they are. So I love it. I love playing poker. So then I went to Vegas. I got sponsored by a poker company 2 years in a row. Went to Vegas. They paid for everything. I played in the World Poker Tour in Montreal and came in 17th. That was a really nice win. And then I'd taken some time off because my girls were small and I really couldn't be away from them for that long. It was really bothering me. And then I just started back just before COVID. I went in a tournament in Montreal. I went in 2 tournaments. The first tournament I came in 5th, and the next tournament I came in 2nd. So I was getting right back into it, and then COVID hit. So then it just stopped. And so I just got back into it. I went down. I was playing in Bahamas last year, played in Las Vegas last year too. There's a women's tournament. It's fantastic. It's so much fun. And a few weeks ago, I played in a charity tournament, and it was good because I still got a prize. I came in 2nd and got like $750 in gift cards to the liquor beer store or something like this. And the person who came in 1st was my sister. My sister Lisa came in 1st. We absolutely loved it. All these people, maybe 100, 150 people playing in a tournament, and it was me and Lisa who came out 1st and 2nd. It was awesome. So much fun.
So I guess I got to hang out with you and your sister when I'm playing poker.
Don't bring money.
What is it about which poker game is the easiest to read people body language? Do you think?
Well,
for yourself?
That would be as long as you're at a table for length of time with people.
Right.
That gives you time to pick up on what they're doing. And if you take Texas Hold'em, Doyle Brunson, very famous poker player, love him absolutely. He said, Texas Hold'em, it takes a day to learn how to play, but it takes a lifetime to master the game. And he's right. And you can learn it in a day. Like that's not a problem. But really understanding it and getting, all the mathematical odds. Game's always changing too. There's different people in the game. The World Series of Poker just finished up in Las Vegas. They were at final table, and the person who went at 9th, I think he got $800,000 or $900,000. The final table had 9 people on it. The gentleman who came in 1st, over $12 million for the main event, World Series of Poker in Las Vegas this year.
Holy mackerel. Now,
it's not minor.
So tell me the difference between a $12 million winner and yourself. What does that person have to master? Is it like a lifetime of only playing poker or Texas Hold'em or what? How does a person get to that level?
It's interesting because people will say, well, poker's just about luck. And I'm always like, really? Then why are the same people always on the final table? Have you ever noticed that? The same people. We know all these people. Phil Ivey, Phil Hellmuth, like we know all of these people. Phil Locke, he's a great player. Antonio Esfandiari, like all these great players. You keep seeing these people on the final table for a reason. Yes, there is luck. And I totally agree that you get very lucky on hands. But you have to be skilled enough so that you're still in a tournament when luck does come your way. Because you will get certain lucky hands. Like you'll be like, oh my God, I just flopped quad aces, for example, or something like that. And so luck will come your way. You just got to make sure you're still in the tournament.
Gotcha.
You have to have
You're eliminating people along the way. And that's what when you said the 9 people, that's the final elimination through the couple days or something, or a week,
probably started with maybe 10,000 people. Probably started.
Really, 10,000?
Yeah, it has different starting days because there's so many people. I'd say it was probably about 10,000 this year, and then it gets down, but the game gets like the blinds keep going up, so you have to put in bigger antes and bigger antes. So you have to be paying attention all the time, making sure that, okay, I need to play more hands, or, really need to start to bluff because these guys think I'm playing like this, or so. Yeah, it's having enough guts to take a chance when you need to, and also at the same time making sure you're still in the tournament when luck does come your way, and getting a read on people. All those things happen almost before you look at your 2 cards, your two whole cards in Texas Hold'em. Once you start to know the people, you start to know how to play against them, against the person. You don't care, you don't have to play against their cards. You need to play right against that person.
So, and I'm not here to get all your secrets, but let's kind of just give one body language technique that you always employ out there, just so our listeners know what you're talking about. Is there anyone you could share with us?
I'll share one with you. I'll share. Now, remember, if you're playing someone though who knows what they're doing, they're going to know that this is what you're going to think.
Okay,
so I'll give you an example.
Gotcha.
I'll sit down at a table. Say there's 7 people at the table, and I'll look how people hold their chips. Like how, so if there's someone who holds their chips and they're very close to their body on the table and they're very neatly stacked, super nice, all the colors and very neat, that person would tend to be what we call a very tight player. That means they only play if they have really, really, really good cards. So you can bluff them off a lot of hands. Right? But on the other side of it, if someone has chips and it's all messy and it's not neat and they kind of keep it away from them, it's a sign of saying, I'm not afraid of losing my chips. If they're pushing their chips away from them, if they hold their chips close to them because they're afraid of losing their money, right? Losing their chips, usually. But then, so someone else who has messy looking chips and stuff, and it's not close to them, that's probably someone who's going to take a lot more chances, and they're going to try to bluff you a lot more. But if you're, say you're someone like me, say I'm a tight player, right? Say I'm a tight player, I'm still going to make my chips look loose. So people think that I'm a loose player, right? So if you're playing someone who's a skilled poker player, you have to decide whether or not, are they doing this on purpose to try to fool me? Or is it that they don't realize? So there's one, how people hold their chips. That's a huge insight. That's big insight.
Gotcha. I remember, and I do catch a couple movies from time to time.
Yes.
Poker. There was one, and I don't even remember the character, but she ran, and it's a famous one, I think. She ran a big syndicate up in New York. She would invite by text certain people. You obviously had to be invited in.
Yes.
She would take. So are these going on in every city? Is it like just common behind the doors? You don't know unless you're the know. Is that the kind of thing you were involved in when you were in college, or were they local games?
Yeah, no, they were mostly local games, local tournaments. Like you don't really want to take money from your friends, right? Like I'm not interested in taking like $1,000 from a friend, right? I'll just go and play somewhere where there's a tournament. You just go and you do the best you can. But I'll play the same way if I'm playing for $5 or if I'm playing for $1,000. I want to win. I'm in it to win. Like it's not even. I'm like, I'm not in it to come in. 10th, 9th, 8th. I'm in it to come in 1. I always am aiming for number 1, not number 2, not
Right.
number 3, not number right. So, I mean, I was happy with the one with the World Poker Tour WPT in Montreal coming in 17th. That was great. I was the last surviving woman in that tournament. It was great.
Really?
And yeah, but it's like 4 a.m. You're starting to get a little tired, make not good decisions, and the blinds are super high, and you're getting blinded out. It's called getting blinded out because the blinds are so high because they keep going up every 20 minutes or every 2 hours, depending on the tournament. So you have to play more aggressively as the game gets longer. So in tournament poker, that's how you can really get a good read on people is
Right.
tournament poker. Yeah. I like tournament.
Well, I tell you, I would love a follow-up podcast because, in this building, Shaelene, there's play cards all the time. And I think most people, there are some very competitive ones.
Good.
Most people would really enjoy like you teaching a course, maybe an online course of just helping people, because I think using the mind is so critical in anything. But as we get older, the more we're using the mind, the better. So if cards are just a wonderful way to use that brain power.
Absolutely.
So maybe we do something where you teach the 3 tips that people need for Texas Hold'em, because I don't think, to my knowledge, we play Texas Hold'em down here. I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, it's not a hard game. But it doesn't matter to me what game it is. I like all poker games, High-Low Chicago, like all of them, Fiery Cross. This is all the ones I used to play in high school. And when I was in university, I played everything. Now it's mostly Texas Hold'em, which is it's such a fantastic game because they came up with the lipstick camera. So then you could see when you're watching TV what the person's 2 cards are, and then wonder how are they going to play these 2 cards. And you've seen the most amazing bluffs. Like that's why poker became huge, became massive, because there was a guy, this was years ago, who won, Chris Moneymaker's his name. He was a guy who won a little satellite for like $10 online, ended up winning his way right into the World Series of Poker, and then won the World Series of Poker. Just an average guy, not a poker player. I think he was an accountant, actually.
Right.
But that happened at the same time that they came out with the lipstick cameras. So that's why when you're watching poker, you can see what that person has. There's 2 cards. They fold it up and you can see the 2 cards. And it made it so much more involving. And that's when poker just took off.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm happy to listen. I'll come on down there and you guys can record it and I'll do it right there.
Okay. All right. So
I also play
viewers, you hear that in the Overture community? We've just got an offer to get somebody down in the deep South here in Atlanta that we can bring you down here. And we'll give a shout out. This magazine is Shaelene's up in Ontario.
Yep.
And so in there is the marginalization of seniors. Yeah. And so every month, and you can get it on Amazon. So you just search Ontario and then maybe your last name or first name or anything.
Yeah, just look up Ontario Wellness Network, and then and there it'll come right up, and that's my magazine. Yeah, that's it, and I love it. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put a link in the show notes. That way, we'll make it really easy for our seniors just to click on it and go to it. And if they'd like to get a copy, because every month you come out with a new one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm asking people, if you have anything that you want to tell, like you can email me.
Yeah.
You can also call my office where a person picks up the phone. You can mail me a letter. Like I'm not going to be like those other companies that don't give options. You can mail me a letter. The address is in there. You're welcome to write to me anytime. I'd love it. Love to see everyone's opinions or ideas for wellness.
So how can they get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of your company?
Well, it's Books in Line. So there's the phone number, 905-571-BOOK-2665. So again, 905-571-2665 if you want to call. The address is if you just look up Books in Line, it shows you my work address.
Awesome.
There's everything. Everything's there. Everything you need. They can ask you.
I know. And yeah, you're exactly right. And you're running a big company up there. So I'm going to respect your time and let you get back. But we appreciate you being a guest on the Kennesaw Happenings podcast. And we look forward to a visit south
I would
order.
love that.
And,
I would
you know,
love to come for a visit.
I don't know if you think that it's just a statement, but Southern hospitality, we do have Southern hospitality
I
down
would
here.
absolutely
So we
love it.
spoil
And
you, we take care of you, and it's just a good reason because we want you to come back. We don't want it to be a one-time
I
thing.
love to travel. I love to travel, so that's easy.
Oh, good. We
I'll
have
be
a
there.
couple of things like the Coca-Cola, we got the aquarium, we got all kinds of good
Oh, yeah,
activities
I'd love to see all
and
that.
tourist
Yeah.
attractions. So
Yeah, I've never been to Atlanta, and I'd love to come and see all the houses and stuff that I've heard about. I'd
awesome.
love to do that.
Well,
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank
Thanks, Shaelene. We always give a parting thought. Like, first, do you have anybody you could recommend that you think would be a good wellness guest for our podcast?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'll give you a name right now. Her name's Sandra Bruce. She is
Okay.
amazing. She
Okay.
teaches women that their best lives are when they're older than 55. When they're 50, 55 and older, that's the best part of their life. She is amazing.
Man.
And her name's Sandra Bruce.
Okay.
And she's doing a lot to help people. And she's in the magazine as well. And I will
Okay.
send you her contact information.
Awesome.
100%.
That'd be great. I can't stop from saying right over my right shoulder there. Can you see that unique artwork from your?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Yeah.
That is an original painting from an artist up in Canada. I know you know her, but how about if we give her a shout out because it's beautiful?
Absolutely. That's my friend.
Yeah, what is her name?
Julie Culford, Culford. Yeah, she's amazing. She's does beautiful work, and she's starting to teach art now, how to paint. She's going to do some stuff online. She's going to do some stuff in person up here in Canada. But yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah, I was super happy. That's a beautiful piece.
Well, I appreciate you gifting it because the first original artwork I've ever had, and I'm not 25 years old, so I've been out there a few years.
Yeah.
That's the first original artwork right there, right over my corner, right where that finger is pointing. You'll see it. It's beautiful. Thank you, Shaelene.
I'll send you her information too. Thank you, Pete.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, and we'll look forward to some poker tips.
Yes.
And we also look forward to more articles on the marginalization of seniors and help.
Absolutely.
I hope we can push back enough where we change a few people out there.
I would like that. I would like that very much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.